If you've ever set an intention for your business, like a word for the year, a goal, or a theme, and then life just knocked you sideways, then this is for you. Hey, coach, and welcome back to the Back End Blueprint for Coaches, the podcast where we untangle the tech, simplify your systems, and help you build a business backend that's calm, automated, and profitable. I'm your host, Sha-day Johnson, the tech coach and backend strategist for coaches just like you. Today, I thought it would be fun to get a little more personal. I'm still in the beginning stages of this podcast and really figuring out what I want it to be. It's like a creative outlet for me, so it's really important to me that this doesn't feel like work or too monotonous. And when I was reviewing my brainstorming notes from so long ago, it reminded me that yes, I want this podcast to be primarily about tech topics, paper bill, automation, things like that. But I also want to talk about the behind the scenes entrepreneurial stuff. For one, because it can get a little boring just talking about tech all the time. But more importantly, it's because it's something that I'm so passionate about. Talking about mindset, abundance, growing a business, reading all the books that I read. And I'm finding new ones all the time because I'm in Barnes and Noble at least every other weekend at this point. And even some of the woo-woo stuff here and there. That's what just really lights me up. So I want to be able to incorporate that into the podcast while still talking about the tech stuff. I want it to be like a perfect little combination of that. And now that I think about it, that's why I called my Facebook group what I called it, Automated and Abundant Coaches, because that's just really describes my passions. And so I wanted to find other people who had those same interests, but also wanted to learn how to do that. And now I'm like, maybe I should have called the podcast that, but too late for that now. So the point is, today just felt like the perfect day to shift into this, but my goal is always going to be to relate it back to you, the coach that I created this podcast for. Carl Rogers said, "What is most personal is most universal." And that has always stuck with me from the first time I heard it. So whenever I'm going through something that I think is super personal and like, ooh, maybe I shouldn't share that, I'm going to be thinking, well, would it help the coach that I'm trying to reach? Is it going to benefit you in some way? And if the answer is yes, I'm going to hit record and let you hear about it. So let's get started. This episode is about my word for the year, create, and how I've been pulled away from it and why I'm doubling down on it now. If you've ever set an intention for your business, like a word for the year, a goal, or a theme, and then life just knocked you sideways, then this is for you. So at the start of the year, actually, it would have been at the end of 2024, going into 2025. Usually at the end of the year, I just like sit down and think about what do I want for the income or, for the incoming year? What should my word be? I chose the word create because I wanted this year, 2025, to be my year of creating and building, creating more than I consume, building systems, building a larger audience, creating more digital products, creating resources for my audience, building a business that supports the lifestyle that I want, which includes creating an exit from my full-time job. And to me, create isn't just about content, it's more about creating opportunities, creating consistency, creating momentum. And I was so fired up about it. But then life had some other plans. And so, in the first few months of the year, I unfortunately experienced two deaths in my personal life. And honestly, it just knocked me flat. My energy, my focus, my drive, just all of it went out the window. I did still show up in my business, but just in very small ways. But the heart of what I had wanted, that intentional, consistent creating got put on pause. I think I even mentioned it in the first podcast episode that I was just not in my video era. And that was around the time that my grandmother had passed, and just the thought of being on camera or even going live was just not going to happen. And so launching the podcast was something I wanted to do eventually, but at the top of the year, it was either do the podcast or do nothing. And as, months went by, it just got worse before it got better. And I missed a lot of weeks posting after, I think I posted maybe like 5 episodes and then just completely fell off. And unfortunately, I'm a bit of an emotional eater. So, I put on a little weight. I mean, that was an issue before any of this stuff happened. So I'm not going to blame it all on that. But I just wasn't at my most confident as months were going by. So the emotional eating wasn't helping it, obviously. And unfortunately, I did see some negative side effects in my business, with an online business and with such a small audience like I have right now, a small but mighty audience, I'll add. Showing up consistently is extremely important. And I feel like not going live and not showing up on camera did hinder me a bit, but it didn't make it completely horrible. I did still see sales and I did still see results. It's just not at the volume that I had envisioned at the top of the year when I just thought, yes, this is going to be the year when everything changes. And it did change, but just not in the direction I thought it would. But the good news is I am feeling so much better now. And I share this because I know you've been there too. Maybe it wasn't loss, maybe it was burnout or family stuff or health issues. But we've all had those seasons where we're just in survival mode. Fast forward to now, and I'm happy to report that I feel that create energy coming back. And I've realized that even though life can interrupt our plans, we can always just pick them back up. So I'm giving myself permission to get back to creating, and I'm giving myself grace to not feel like I'm behind. I'm creating more products, more trainings, more resources for you. And I'm believing that it's right on time because for a little while I was just like, oh, it's already past half the year and all the things I had planned for Q1 and Q2 are just, it's too late for them all. I can be a little dramatic, I know, but I'm giving myself that grace to say, no, it's happening right on time. Because I do believe in divine timing. And this year hasn't been all bad. Obviously, it started off very rough, but I believe I shared a few episodes ago that I am now engaged and I am very happily engaged. It's been so wonderful to just kind of step into or transition to this new era in my life. So I haven't started any wedding planning yet, but that will come eventually. Right now, I'm just kind of living in the engagement bliss bubble. So here is the bigger lesson for you. Sometimes the most important thing isn't sticking to your plan perfectly, it's coming back to it when you can. I know you've got ideas for your coaching business. Maybe you've dreamed of creating a signature package, a group program or a course, but you've put it off because life got in the way. So let this be your sign. You can pick it back up. Your audience isn't sitting there with a stopwatch counting the days. And if they are, maybe there's not even your ideal client. They're just waiting for the moment you're ready to serve them again. And if you're feeling behind, here's the secret. You don't have to create everything all at once. Just start with the thing that will have the biggest impact. For me, right now, that's creating simple tech solutions for coaches inside of my membership. For you, it might be creating a better onboarding process, a stronger package, or a more consistent way to deliver your services. So that's where I'm at. I'm coming back to my word of the year, create. And I'm committing to building more of what lights me up and what helps you. If you're ready to get back to creating in your business, even if you've been in a season of pause, I want to make it easier for you. Inside my membership, the Backend Blueprint Hub, I'll walk you through setting up your Paperbell account so you can package your offers, automate your onboarding, and start selling all in just 3 days. That means you can stop feeling behind and start feeling like you're back in the game. You can join right now at shadayjohnson.com/BBH. That link is also in the show notes. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I hope you liked this more personal side of things. Definitely let me know. If you're listening to this on YouTube, go ahead and leave me a comment and let me know if the word create resonates with you. I'd love to hear about it. If create was your word for the year or if you had a different one. And be sure to come find me in my Facebook group, Automated and Abundant Coaches, and you can share what you're committing to create next. Until next time, keep building that back end and making space for abundance. I'll see you next week. Bye.